Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for providing us the opportunity to share our family's experience with you concerning the disability process. As a brief introduction, our daughter Roby, who's 45, has had ME CFS symptoms since in her mid-20s. Living in Texas, she managed to work until her late 30s when she could no longer do so. After doing a lot of research, she presented her ME findings to a local PCP there in Texas, who concluded with her ME diagnosis. Soon thereafter, she could not drive herself to work and lost the capacity to think. And as a student at Texas A&M with one class to go for a graduate degree in psychology, and she had a 4.0 average, she had to drop out, unfortunately. So as a family, we decided that it would be best for her to move back to Massachusetts to be able to live with us, as she had exhausted her savings and had was no longer able to support herself, and also to seek the medical attention in the Boston area for whatever they had to offer. After her visit with a local PCP here in Massachusetts, it was evident that she had no capacity to work. So she made out the initial application with the Social Security benefits, which I call phase 1. And Ken's already addressed that portion of it. But within a few weeks, we received notification that she did not meet the requirements for disability, even though she had described her lack of ability to sustain any kind of physical or mental presence in order to hold a job. At that point, we had 60 days to appeal the phase 1 decision. Over the next few weeks, she, and with a great deal of help from my wife and I, put together an 86-page reconsideration application package, which we thought was as solid as it could get. And we had letters, 4 letters actually. So one from her PCP stating the obvious, that she was not able to conduct any type of work, even sedentary, and that's a key word in the requirements. And by the way, the PCP letter was written by my daughter, and the PCP had no issue with signing off on it. So if the PCP is unwilling to write one, you could always ask, and I think Ken has already mentioned that, if they would sign a letter, make any changes that they thought was necessary. So the second letter that we had was from her employer in Texas, stating how her condition deteriorated over the last 2 years that she was employed with him, to the point that she could no longer function, not even on a part-time basis. The next letter was one that Kathy and I drew up, saying how her energetic life had changed to a dismal existence. The fourth letter was her own, saying how her life was with ME and what she was missing in life compared to what her life was before. And then the rest of the package was basically a bunch of tests she had over the years, ruling out other medical potential issues. So we thought we built a solid case that anyone in their right mind would agree that she was totally incapable of functioning even on a normal day at home, let alone any kind of full-time or even part-time work. Weeks after submission, the phase 2 attempt was denied, saying, amongst other false conclusions, that, quote, you can be on your feet most of the day, unquote, which, if anybody read the materials, could see that that was totally impossible. With that, we turned to the Massachusetts ME CFS organization for advice on the phase step 3, which is going to the judge for appealing the denial of the reconsideration. An attorney's name was provided to us by Ken Casanova, and we hired that legal expert who had handled many ME CFS cases with success. And that's kind of the key. I've talked to some other patients who have discussed things with attorneys, and those that don't have any knowledge of ME shouldn't be even considered. But anyway, after working the case for a few months, the attorney was able to convince the judge that our daughter was in fact disabled in accordance with the definitions. The good news is that she finally got her due with a positive judgment. The bad news is it took 18 months to do that. And she was fortunate enough to have, us to help her out and live with us. But there's many people that don't have that luxury, and it's unfortunate. So with the experience behind us, I've been helping Ken Casanova meet with patients asking for advice on the disability process. One patient recently asked if it was worth the effort to putting together the lengthy package that we submitted for phase 2, since it was denied. And the answer is a definite yes. Reasoning is simple. It's important to get the facts down while they are fresh. Also, although the chances are less than 50% probably, I think if the numbers are right, to achieve success in phase 2, there's still a possibility that can be successful. And I think Ken proved that he was successful in phase 2. And this bypasses obviously the lengthy process and expense of needing to hire an attorney and to go in front of a judge with no guarantees and now extending the period of time another few months to a year. So lastly, I'd like to leave you with this 5 bits of information, which I hopefully is here up on the slide. First of all, when describing your medical issues, please detail the reasons how those issues have impacted your life. It's really important to be clear about that, so that the people reading this material truly understand how this impacts your life. Secondly, closely monitor the processing of your applications. Keep track of what Social Security Administration is transmitting to your medical professionals. We didn't do that, and when we hired the attorney, my daughter gave Social Security permission to send the application to the attorney with all the background material that we had sent them. And we later found out that there was missing pieces from that information, which may have impacted the decision at the second phase. Third, suggest that you include in your application package a 1-page historical summary of how your life has changed due to this horrible disease, which will provide a big picture for the person reading your package, making it easier for the reviewer to understand your situation in a nutshell. Fourth, make sure that the doctor, and I think Ken pointed this out, clearly notes in each visit the details of your situation and what he talked about, he or she talked about. In our daughter's case, that wasn't done by the doctor in Texas, and that cost her several months of when that ME diagnosis actually started, which impacted the retroactive date. So lastly, the only thing I could say is hang in there and think positive. If there's anything we can do to help, please contact us. And I guess that's it. Thank you for your time.
Thanks so much, Bob, for sharing your experience. That was helpful to see what you have gone through. And
Karin, could I just interject one thing very quickly?
yeah, go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, I left out something important in my presentation, which is that 80 to 90% of claims that are approved at the 3rd stage at the administrative law judge level. So what I sometimes tell patients is don't just persist through the first 2 through application and reconsideration and get to that 3rd stage level. If you do have a good documentation, you may be approved at the 1st or 2nd level. But again, only about 10 to 15% of applications are approved at the 1st or 2nd level. And the high majority of applications that are approved at the administrative law judge level. So if you get rejected at the first 2 levels, don't despair, get to that 3rd stage and get a much fairer evaluation of your claim. And I know Ron will be talking more about this. Thanks.
Thanks for adding that, Ken. So it sounds like both you and Bob are really emphasizing the need for persistence in this application process. So thanks again, Bob, for sharing your experience. And for anyone in the audience, feel free to put your questions or comments in the chat if you have any questions for Bob and what his family went through.